Did you know there's a way to cook that practically eliminates mess before it even happens? Well, I'm going to show you exactly how in the next few minutes. If you're tired of spending hours cleaning the kitchen after preparing a simple meal, frustrated by the never-ending pile of dishes and the grease stuck everywhere, then you need to pay attention to what I'm about to reveal. There's a way to cook that prevents mess at its source before it spreads throughout your kitchen. It's not about cleaning faster or using miracle products. It's about changing small habits during meal preparation that make all the difference in the end. And look, I know it sounds too good to be true, but once you understand these 7 simple rules I'm going to teach you today, your kitchen routine will change completely. What you'll discover in this video could save you hours of work every week. Just imagine finishing cooking and having almost everything clean without the exhaustion of having to deal with a mountain of dishes and spilled grease. Sounds like a dream, right? But it's totally possible when you learn to avoid mess from the start. Stick with me until the end because the last rule is the one that makes the most difference. And I bet you've never thought of it before. Shall we? Tip 1. Prepare everything before you start cooking. The first rule to avoid kitchen mess is to prepare all the ingredients before turning on the stove. I know, it seems obvious, but most people don't do it. And you know what happens? Halfway through cooking, you realize you need to chop the onion, so you rush to get the cutting board, dirty another knife, spill things along the way, and before you know it, the entire kitchen has become a battlefield. When you separate and prepare everything in advance, it's much easier to stay organized. Wash all the vegetables you'll use, chop everything that needs chopping. Separate the seasonings into small containers. Measure out the liquids you'll need. Have everything close to the stove, ready to use. It may seem like more work at first, but trust me, it saves you time and effort in the end. Do you know why this works so well? Because when you're actually cooking, with the fire going and the pots on the stove, you don't have time to run around the kitchen looking for things. That's when the mess happens. You drop flour on the floor, spill oil on the counter, forget to turn on the faucet, leave open packages scattered around. All this because you're trying to do multiple things at once. But when everything's already prepared, all you need to focus on is cooking. Grab one ingredient, put it in the pan, and it's ready. Grab another, add it, and it's ready. Your movements are calm and controlled. There's no rush, no desperation, no mess. The sink stays organized because you've already washed and put away the ingredients you used in the initial preparation. Another huge advantage is that you can use the same utensils to prepare multiple ingredients. Chop the carrot, quickly wash the knife and cutting board, and use them again for the next vegetable. No need to dirty 3 knives and 2 different cutting boards. This means fewer dishes and more free space in the sink to work. This rule also helps you cook better, you know? When everything is prepared, you can follow the recipe exactly without burning anything because you took a while to find an ingredient. The food tastes better and the kitchen is cleaner. It's a win-win. So next time you're cooking, resist the temptation to head straight to the stove. Take about 15 minutes beforehand to prep everything. Wash, chop, separate, and organize. You'll see how the entire process becomes smoother, faster, and much cleaner. Your kitchen will thank you, and you'll feel much more in control. Tip 2. Clean each item as soon as you finish using it. This is a golden rule that completely changes the kitchen cleaning game. The idea is simple. Don't let anything dirty accumulate. Did you use a spoon to stir the sauce? Let it soak in the sink immediately. Finished chopping the vegetables? Wash the cutting board and put it away. It sounds like a lot of work, but it's actually quite the opposite. Think about it. When you leave everything to wash later, the dirt dries, sticks, and becomes increasingly difficult to clean. The tomato sauce that's splattered on the spoon turns into a hard crust. The grease in the pan cools and sticks like glue. The egg left in the bowl hardens, and you have to scrub hard to get it off. All because you waited too long to clean. But when you clean immediately while you're cooking, the dirt comes off incredibly easily. A simple rinse with water will do the trick. You don't even need to use a lot of soap or scrub vigorously. It only takes a few seconds, and voila, your cookware is clean again. The key here is to create a rhythm. While something's cooking on the stove, you take those few minutes to wash what you've already used. Is the water boiling? Perfect. Wash the bowls you used to mix the ingredients. Is the chicken roasting in the oven? Great. Wipe down the countertop and wash the utensils. You transform those waiting moments into quick cleanup moments. And look how interesting. When you maintain this habit, the sink never gets full. It never accumulates that giant pile of dishes that's discouraging just looking at it. You always have free space to work, a clean sink to wash your hands, and an organized countertop to put things down. The kitchen remains functional at all times. Some people think this hinders the cooking process, but it's actually quite the opposite. When you clean as you go, it's easier to find what you need. There's no scrambling for a clean spoon amidst a pile of dirty things. Everything is in its place, clean, and ready to use again if needed. And what's more, at the end, when the food is ready, you practically have no dishes to wash. Imagine how wonderful that is. You serve the dish, sit down to eat peacefully, knowing that later you'll only need to wash the dishes and silverware from the meal. There's no grimy pan waiting to be washed, no bowl with stuck-on pasta, none of that drama. So start practicing this today. Every time you finish using something, quickly soak it or wash it. At first it may seem like you're putting in more effort, but within a few days, it becomes second nature. And then you'll notice how much easier and less stressful your kitchen routine has become. Tip 3. Use fewer utensils and reuse what you can. Here's a mistake almost everyone makes: using too many utensils unnecessarily. For each step of the recipe, you grab a new bowl, a different spoon, a different plate. In the end, the sink is overflowing with dishes, half of which didn't even need to be used. The solution is simple. Think before you grab each utensil and determine whether you really need it or if you can reuse something that's already dirty. Let me give you a practical example. You're going to bake a cake. First, you separate the dry ingredients in one bowl. Then you mix the liquid ingredients in another. Then you need to combine everything. Many people use a third large bowl for the final mixing. But wait, why not just use the large bowl from the beginning? Put the dry ingredients in it, then add the liquid ingredients on top and mix. There you go. You've saved 2 bowls. Another example, you chopped onions and now you're going to chop tomatoes. You don't need to wash the cutting board between each one unless you're very picky about mixing flavors. But in most recipes, they go into the same pan anyway. So, use the same cutting board and knife, save time and dishes. The same goes for spoons and spatulas. Did you stir the rice? Leave the spoon nearby. You'll use it again in a moment to check the seasoning. Did you fry the garlic and onion? No need to wash the spatula to fry the meat later. You can use the same one. Everything will end up together in the pan. Some people are afraid to do this, thinking it's unhygienic or that it will ruin the recipe. But look, if all the ingredients are going to be cooked together and you're working with clean, fresh food, there's no problem. The important thing is to use common sense. Obviously, if you've cut raw meat, you need to wash the cutting board and knife thoroughly before using it with other foods. But with vegetables, seasonings, and dry ingredients, you can reuse them without a problem. Another smart tip: use the ingredients' own containers whenever possible. Need to measure flour? Instead of grabbing a measuring cup, use a regular mug that you already know roughly how much. Pouring oil? Use the bottle cap itself to measure instead of dirtying a spoon. It's little tricks that make a difference. And you know what's best about all this? Besides having fewer dishes to wash, you also save space in the sink and on the countertop while cooking. With less clutter, it's easier to move around, find what you need, and keep everything organized. The whole kitchen flows better. So before you pick up any utensil, ask yourself this question: do I really need this, or can I reuse something that's already there? You'll be surprised at how many unnecessary things we use out of habit. Change that, and your dish count will be cut in half. If you're enjoying these tips and want to keep receiving content like this, subscribe to the channel now and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. And be sure to comment below where you're watching. Come on, tell me. I want to know where you're from. Now let's continue with more rules for keeping your kitchen clean. Tip 4. Keep a bowl for scraps while cooking. This tip may seem silly, but it makes a huge difference in organizing your kitchen. You know those vegetable peels, those little bits you cut off, those scraps that end up in the trash? Instead of constantly going back and forth to the trash can, or worse, leaving everything scattered across the counter, have a bowl or container just for this while you cook. Place a medium bowl right next to where you're working. Then, all the leftovers go straight into it. Garlic peels, carrot tops, tomato seeds, torn packaging, used napkins. Everything is there, in one place, contained and organized. Finally, all you have to do is grab the bowl and dump it all in the trash. It's that simple. Why does this work so well? First, because you don't waste time. Every time you need to go to the trash can, you lose a few seconds, and those seconds add up. More importantly, every time you go back and forth, it's a chance to drip water on the floor, drop something, or bump into something. Less movement around the kitchen means less chance of making a mess. Second, and this is very important, when leftovers are contained in a bowl, they don't dirty the countertop. You know that wet onion skin that sticks to the surface? Or that parsley stalk that gets scattered around? Or worse, that tomato juice that drips down and forms a puddle? None of that happens when everything goes straight into a bowl. Your countertop stays spotless every time. Third, you can work with much more free space. There won't be a bunch of scraps taking up space on your cutting board, and there won't be scattered peels taking up space you need for other things. Everything is contained, and you have the entire counter available to work comfortably. This technique also helps a lot when cleaning. At the end, you simply empty the bowl's contents into the trash. Give it a quick rinse, and that's it. No need to pick up scraps scattered around the sink, countertop, or floor. Everything is already in one place from the start. It's much faster and more practical. And look, you don't even need a fancy bowl for this. It could be that old jar you no longer use. It could be a simple plastic container. It could even be an open bag next to the counter. The important thing is to have a specific, accessible place to put the scraps as they appear. Some people even use two bowls, one for organic waste that goes into compost or organic waste, and another for packaging and recyclables. Separating your waste makes the process much easier. You can separate everything while you cook without having to do it later. So start using this strategy today. Grab a bowl, leave it on the counter, and dump all your scraps into it as you work. You'll see how this makes everything more organized, faster, and much cleaner. It's a small change that yields big results. Your kitchen will stay much tidier from start to finish. Tip 5. Protect surfaces before starting dirty work. How many times have you had to scrub your countertops vigorously after preparing a meal? That stuck on flour, that splattered oil, that spilled sauce. All of this creates extra work when it comes to cleaning. But there's a simple way to avoid this. Protect your surfaces before starting any potentially messy work. The idea is to use temporary barriers between the dirt and your countertops. This could be a clean dish towel, paper towels, those silicone kitchen mats, or even newspaper if you have some at home. The important thing is to cover the area where you'll be working before you start making a mess. Kneading pasta. He spreads a large cloth on the counter before sprinkling the flour. Seasoning meat. He places a large piece of paper or cutting board underneath before spreading the seasonings. Frying something and knows it's going to splatter? He places paper towels around the stove before lighting the burner. These simple precautions save a lot of work later. Think of the difference. Without protection, you finish cooking and have to clean the entire countertop with a sponge and cleaning product, scrub to remove the grease, dry everything, and sometimes even repeat the process because it didn't come off the first time. With protection, you just need to take the paper or cloth you used and throw it in the trash, or at most wash the cloth. The countertop underneath stays clean. It's a huge savings in time and effort. This works especially well for working with flour, which is one of the messiest things in the kitchen. Flour spreads, sticks when wet, and requires effort to clean. But when you work on a paper or cloth, all that flour dust that falls stays contained. Finally, you fold the paper carefully, throwing the remaining flour straight into the trash, and you're done. A clean countertop effortlessly. Another perfect time to use this technique is when you're preparing meat or fish. These foods release liquids that can stain the countertop or leave an odor. But if you place them on a large cutting board or thick paper, these liquids are contained. When you're finished, simply discard or wash the protective covering without having to disinfect the entire countertop. The same goes for the area around the stove. Frying causes oil to splatter everywhere. This oil sticks to the wall, the countertop, and other appliances. Cleaning it all up is a lot of work. But if you place a protective foil or aluminum foil around the stovetop before you start frying, most of the grease will remain there. Then you can simply remove it and discard it. Some people think this is a lot of work, that it's too much to do. But think about it. What's easier, spreading a cloth on the countertop or scrubbing the entire countertop with cleaning products? What's faster, placing some paper towels around the stove or cleaning greasy walls and tiles? Protection is certainly simpler. So before you start any kitchen task that you know will get dirty, stop for a minute and think, is there any way I can protect this surface? 9 times out of 10, the answer is yes. And that minute will save you 15 or 20 minutes of heavy cleaning later. It's well worth it. Tip 6. Clean up spills and splashes immediately. This rule is fundamental and makes all the difference between an organized kitchen and a chaotic one. The rule is, anything that drips, splashes, or spills, you clean up immediately. Don't put it off. Don't ignore it, thinking you'll clean it all up later. Clean it immediately before it becomes a bigger problem. Do you know why? Because fresh liquids are extremely easy to clean. A simple wipe with a cloth does the trick. But if you let that sauce splatter dry on the countertop, it sticks and turns into a hard crust. Then you need a sponge, you need to scrub, you need to use force. What used to take 2 seconds now takes 2 minutes. The same thing happens with oil. While it's fresh, you wipe it with a paper towel and it's gone. But when it cools and gets old, it turns into a sticky layer that won't come off even with detergent. You need to use a stronger product, scrub hard, and sometimes even use hot water. All because you didn't clean it right away. And it's not just a matter of making cleanup easier. When you leave spills lying around the kitchen, they become traps. You might slip on that puddle of oil on the floor. You might touch your sleeve with that sauce on the counter. You might accidentally touch that gunk with your hand. All of this creates more problems and even more mess. Plus, spills and splashes attract insects. Ants love any sweet scraps. That drop of juice on the floor can attract a swarm of ants in just a few hours. Leftover food on the counter can attract flies. When you clean everything up right away, there's no time for this kind of problem. So always have a clean dish towel nearby while cooking. It doesn't have to be the fancy decorative one. It could be an old one you use just for quick cleanups. Leave it right there on the counter within easy reach. Then if anything spills, you can grab the towel and take care of it right away. Another good option is to always have a roll of paper towels available in the kitchen. Paper towels are great for cleaning up grease and liquids because you use them and throw them away. There's no need to wash them afterwards, and they don't accumulate bacteria. For quick cleanups during food preparation, paper towels are perfect. The trick is to get into the habit of constantly looking at the countertop and stove. Every time you finish a step in the recipe, take a quick look. Is there a spill? Wipe it up. Did something fall? Wipe it up. Did you spill something? Wipe it up. It becomes automatic after a while. You don't even think about it, you just do it. And this applies to the floor too. If you spill water or any liquid on the floor, don't leave it there waiting for someone to slip. Grab a cloth and dry it immediately. If solid food spills, like a grain of rice or a small piece of vegetable, bend down and pick it up immediately. It costs nothing and keeps your kitchen much cleaner and safer. So make this rule a habit. If it's dirty, clean it now. You'll see how much more pleasant your kitchen is and how much easier it is to keep clean. Tip 7. Wash the dishes as soon as you finish eating. The last rule, and perhaps the most important of all, concerns what happens after you're done cooking. Many people serve their food, sit down to eat, and leave all the dishes piled up in the sink to be washed later. Then they sit there. Food dries on the plates, sticks to the cutlery, and when you finally do wash them, it's a huge chore. But there's a better way. The solution is simple. Wash the dishes right after you finish eating, while everything is still fresh. I know, after a meal, the last thing you want to do is wash dishes. You're full, you want to rest a bit. But I'll show you why it's worth making this small effort now instead of putting it off. First, fresh food comes off dishes and pans much easier. You just rinse with water and quickly wipe with a sponge. No soaking, no scrubbing, no heavy detergent. In 5 or 10 minutes, you'll be done. But if you leave it for later, those same dishes will take 20 or 30 minutes of hard work. Second, when you wash the dishes right after eating, you don't give that pile time to grow and become overwhelming. You know that pile of dishes that gets discouraging just looking at them? That you keep putting off because it seems like a huge task? That doesn't happen when you wash them right away. The dishes are always kept small, controlled, and easy to tackle. Third, and this is very important, your kitchen remains pleasant and ready to use again when needed. If you leave dirty dishes piling up, the sink gets cluttered, the countertop gets cluttered, and the entire kitchen takes on a messy and neglected feel. You can't even prepare a simple snack because there's no free space. But when you clean everything quickly, the kitchen is always ready to use. Another benefit is that you avoid bad odors and attracting insects. Dirty dishes left unattended for hours start to smell, especially if they contain protein residue like meat or eggs. This attracts flies and cockroaches. When you wash them quickly, there's no time for these problems to arise. Your kitchen stays clean, fragrant, and hygienic. There's a trick that really helps make this easier. While you're eating, soak the pots and bowls you used to cook in the sink with a little dish soap. Just fill it with warm water, add a little soap, and leave it there. By the time you're done eating and ready to wash the dishes, those pots and pans will be practically clean on their own. All you need to do is rinse them. Another strategy is to divide the task. If there are more people at home, one person washes and another dries and puts away. Working as a pair, everything is done in just a few minutes. It can even become a moment of conversation and bonding instead of being a boring, solitary task. And look, if you're really tired and don't have the energy to wash the dishes right away, at least rinse them and let them soak in water and dish soap. This will make things much easier when you actually wash them later. There won't be that hard crust or stuck-on residue, but the ideal is to wash them right away and free up your mind and your kitchen. So here's what you do. Finish eating, get up, take the dishes to the sink, and start washing them. You can even put on some music you like while you wash, to make it more pleasant. In a few minutes, everything will be ready, and you can truly relax. without the guilty conscience of having dirty dishes waiting. Before we continue, let me tell you something quick. If you want to have a clean, organized, and fragrant home without wasting hours of your day or spending on expensive products, I've prepared a complete guide with easy homemade recipes, a weekly checklist, and professional tricks that really work. The link is in the first pinned comment. Now let's continue with the video. Tip 8. Arrange the sink into work areas. Now I'm going to teach you a technique that will completely transform the way you use your sink. The idea is to divide the sink and the area around it into specific zones, each with a specific function. This sounds technical, but it's quite simple and makes a huge difference in organization. Think about your sink. It has two sides, right? One side you'll use as the dirty area where the dishes that still need washing are kept. The other side is the clean area where you put the things you've already washed to drain. Never mix the two. Dirty dishes on one side, clean dishes on the other. It's that simple. But there's more. The countertop next to the sink also fits into this organization. On one side, you keep your cleaning products, dish soap, sponge, and cloth. On the other, you keep your cooking utensils. This way, you won't be picking up the dish soap-stained sponge and touching the clean spoons you'll use for cooking. Everything has its place. Why does this work so well? Because it creates a logical and hygienic workflow. You pick up the dirty dishes from the dirty side, wash them in the middle, and drain them on the clean side. There's no mess, no risk of contaminating the already clean with the still dirty. It's a self-organizing system. Another advantage is that you can see exactly what needs to be done. When all the dirty items are gathered in one area, you have a clear view of the amount of work ahead. You don't get the feeling that the dishes are endless because they're scattered all over the kitchen. They're all there, contained, waiting to be washed. And when you're done washing something, you already know exactly where it's going. Straight to the draining area. You won't be left holding that dish in your hand, not knowing where to put it. It won't fall over because you tried to balance it somewhere. You have a designated space, and it goes straight there. This organization also helps others who use the kitchen. If someone in the family wants to help, it's obvious what to do. Dirty dishes go to the dirty side of the sink. Dry dishes can be put away. No need to ask or guess. The system is visual and intuitive. And you can apply this concept of zones to other areas of the kitchen as well. Have an area for preparing raw food, away from the area where you put ready-made food. Have an area for storing spices, always in the same place. Have an area for resting hot pans. When everything has its place, you work much faster and safer. The trick to making this work is to be consistent. Every time you use the kitchen, respect the zones you've defined. It may take a little thought at first, but it soon becomes automatic. Your brain learns where everything goes, and you don't even need to think consciously anymore. You just do it. So stop scattering things haphazardly across the sink and countertop. Define your zones now. Dirty side, clean side, prep area, cleaning area. Respect these divisions every time you cook. You'll see how everything becomes more organized, faster, and much more hygienic. Your kitchen will function like a well-oiled machine, where each part has its function and everything flows perfectly. Tip 9. Keep only the essentials on the countertop. Look, this tip may seem obvious, but it's amazing how many people don't do it. The rule is, keep your countertops clear, or at least as clutter-free as possible. The more objects you leave scattered around the countertop, the harder it is to keep it clean, and the messier your kitchen looks. Think about it. When your countertop is cluttered with pots, appliances, cutting boards, spice racks, and a ton of other stuff, what happens? First, you have no free space to work when you need to cook. You're pushing things around, trying to find a spot to chop vegetables. This is stressful and inefficient. Second, when you clean the countertop, you have to remove everything, clean underneath, clean each item individually, and then put it back. This turns a 2-minute task into 10 minutes. And you know what happens? You end up not cleaning properly, just wiping over it, and the dirt builds up underneath and around the items. Third, the more things on the counter, the more places for kitchen grease to accumulate. When you fry something, that invisible grease in the air spreads and sticks to everything. If you have 10 objects on the counter, that's 10 things that will get greasy. If you only have 2, that's only 2 things to clean. Makes sense, right? So do this. Look at your countertop now and ask object by object, do I really need this out here? Does that blender you use once a week need to be taking up space? Wouldn't that fruit basket that gets dirty and attracts flies be better off in the refrigerator? Does that cookie jar not fit in a cabinet? Leave on the counter only what you use every day, several times a day. A coffee maker if you drink coffee all the time. A container with spatulas and spoons if you cook a lot. A soap dish and sponge next to the sink. That's it. Everything else can and should be stored in cabinets and drawers, out of sight. And look what a difference this makes to the look of a kitchen. An empty countertop automatically looks clean, even if it's a little dusty. A full countertop looks messy, even if everything is relatively clean. It's amazing how our brains work this way. Fewer objects means an immediate sense of order and cleanliness. Another huge advantage is that you gain much more workspace. When you need to cook something elaborate with multiple ingredients and steps, you have the entire countertop available. You can spread out the prepared ingredients, support several bowls at once, and work comfortably and in an organized manner. This makes the entire process more enjoyable and less stressful. And what's more, when the countertop is empty, you can clean up spills and splashes instantly, as we mentioned before. There's no obstacle, no need to dodge objects. Just wipe it down, and it's done. Everything's clean in seconds. This keeps your kitchen clean at all times without any extra effort. So clean out your countertop today. Put away everything that's not essential. Keep surfaces clear and clean. It may seem strange at first. You might even think it's too empty. But after a few days, you'll notice how much easier it makes your life. You'll cook better, clean faster, and enjoy being in your kitchen much more. Tip 10. Establish a final cleaning routine. We've reached the last rule, and this one is what makes everything run smoothly. There's no point in following all the previous tips if at the end of the day you leave those last details unattended. The idea is to create a quick final cleaning routine that you do every time you finish using the kitchen. It's like a closing ritual that ensures everything is ready for the next use. This routine doesn't have to be time-consuming. In fact, if you've followed all the other rules, it should only take 5 or 10 minutes, but it can make all the difference between waking up the next day to a clean, welcoming kitchen or finding the remains of yesterday's mess waiting for you. So how does it work? After you've washed all the dishes, wiped down the countertop, and put away the food, you do one last general check. Look at the stove. Is it clean? If there's any spills, wipe them down now. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Fresh grease comes off easily, but old grease is a nightmare to clean. Check the sink. Is it free of food scraps? Sometimes there's a little bit of food stuck in the drain or in that corner. Remove everything, rinse well, and leave the sink sparkling clean. This prevents bad odors and clogs. It takes literally 30 seconds, but many people skip this step and later complain that the sink smells. Check the floor. Are there any spills or spills? Even if you cleaned up while cooking, there's always room for more spills. Grab a rag or broom and give it a quick sweep. A clean floor makes the whole kitchen look cleaner. Look at the counter again. You've cleaned it, but have you dried it? Wet counters harbor bacteria and mold, especially in the corners. Wipe down with a dry cloth, leaving everything dry. And take the opportunity to give it a final tidy. Put away that detergent hang the cloth in the right place, and keep everything tidy. Another important thing, empty the trash if it's full or if there's food left over, which could smell bad. Don't leave food in the trash overnight. This attracts insects and makes the whole house smell bad. Take the trash out, put in a new bag, and that's it. And there's one last detail that many people forget. Ventilate the kitchen. Open the window for a few minutes to let the cooking smells out and let in fresh air. This prevents the smell of fried food or strong spices from permeating the furniture and curtains. Let it air out while you finish tidying up. The secret to making this routine work is to make it an automatic habit. Every time you use the kitchen, finish with this final check. It doesn't matter how tired you are, it doesn't matter how late it is. It only takes a few minutes, and it guarantees you'll never wake up to a messy kitchen again. And you know what's best? When you maintain this consistency, heavy kitchen cleaning practically disappears. You no longer need that cleaning day where you spend hours scrubbing old grease, unclogging drains, and removing stubborn stains, because you take care of everything daily before it becomes a problem. So do this. Today, when you're done using the kitchen, do this complete routine. Go through each area, checking, cleaning the last details, leaving everything perfect. Repeat tomorrow. Repeat the day after. In a week, this will be automatic, and you'll notice how your kitchen is always ready, always clean, always pleasant. And look, you can even adapt this routine to your own style. Maybe you want to add a few extra steps, like wiping down the front of the cabinets or organizing the fridge. Or maybe you prefer to do some steps in the morning and others at night. The important thing is to be consistent. Do it every day and not let it pile up. That's what transforms a chaotic kitchen into a perfectly functioning one. There you go. Now you know the 7 complete rules to avoid kitchen clutter from the start. And if you actually put all of this into practice, your life will change. You'll spend less time cleaning and more time doing the things you truly enjoy. Your kitchen will always be ready for you, clean, organized, and smelling great. But look, I know it might seem like a lot to remember at first. There are so many rules, so many new habits. So here's what you do. Start by applying one rule at a time. This week, focus on prepping everything before cooking. Next week, add the clean-as-you-go rule. The week after that, practice using fewer utensils. Take it slow, take it easy, and soon it'll all be so natural you won't even have to think about it. And I want to hear from you. Which of these rules do you already follow? Which one do you think will make the biggest difference in your kitchen? Comment below. I read every comment and love to hear how you're applying these tips. And if you know someone who's always complaining about the mess in their kitchen, send them this video. You'll really help them. Before I finish, I want to remind you of something important. If you want to have a clean, organized, and fragrant home without wasting hours of your day or spending on expensive products, I've prepared a complete guide with simple homemade recipes, a weekly checklist, and professional tricks that really work. The link is in the first pinned comment. It's worth checking out to transform your routine in a practical and economical way. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, subscribe now and activate the bell to receive all new videos. I post content every week with practical tips to make your life easier at home. These are simple, tried and true tricks that really work. Remember, a clean kitchen doesn't happen by magic. It happens when you follow a smart system that prevents mess before it starts. You don't need to clean more. You need to clean better at the right time, in the right way. And these 7 rules I taught you today are exactly that, a system that works. So go ahead, apply all this to your kitchen and come back here to tell me the results. I bet in 2 weeks, you'll be amazed at the difference. Your kitchen will be cleaner, more organized, and you'll be spending much less time and energy cleaning. It's a real transformation, and it's within your reach. A big hug, and see you in the next video.